Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, continuing through our remaining bonus tracks here. And now we've gone through a few from a couple of different sources. There are 9 remaining songs left in the season as of right now. There could be more added if I discover more tracks that have not been unearthed yet. But for now, we have 9 more, and all of them come from the same source, basically. This is we had played some of these songs during like the Firefly season, but those were songs that had a version on Firefly and then an alternate version from this source, the 10 Miles High source, which is an album that was never released, but somehow got out there because that's how things go. And I'd love to know who. I mean, there's only so many people that could have done that, right? So you have to wonder how that happened. But in any case, 10 Miles High was never released as an album. Some of those songs were, redone for other projects, but there are a few that, as far as I know, were never, nothing ever happened with them. So these are the next 9 songs, the remainder of the season, as of now, are going to be the rest of those songs from the 10 Miles High session. Now, what's interesting is there are a couple of different bootleg versions out there. They have a different song order, different covers, different back covers. But again, there was no official release. So whatever songs the song order is, it's not official. Picking the song order is a very important component in releasing an album. It shapes the character of the album. It shapes the flow of the album, the listener's experience. It's like, you wouldn't say, you wouldn't go to a restaurant and say, okay, I want to eat the steak and then bring me the salad and then bring me a side dish and then bring me dessert and then bring me an appetizer. Like, there's a reason we do things in order, because there's a certain experience that the whole process should be. Same thing with an album. The flow of it, what song goes from one into another, whether you're coming out strong with an explosive song or you want to start out a little mellow and build the album. There's so many different ways you can go, but it's very important, that selection. So I just kind of picked at random the way that I'm going to do the songs, because there's no official release to go in order of. And it's a shame, because I think it would be interesting to see what the order would have been based on what I've heard of these songs so far. I did have to listen to a couple of them to grab the lyrics because I couldn't find those anywhere. But some of these I've not heard yet. So like today's song, I won't change. But yeah, it's kind of weird. There is a possibility that some of these songs were released on collections, and I would love to know how that happened, what the quality of the version is, because again, we never had final studio album release mixes and masters of these songs. So I don't know what the quality was on these projects. One of them was called A Time of Revolution, which came out in 1998. And another one is called Chapter and Verse, the Uriah Heep story, which came out in 2005. I have not been able to get a hold of either of these, so I can't confirm anything, unfortunately. But that is the case. So with our song today, I Won't Change, was supposedly part of the Chapter and Verse project. I would love to find out more about that. It's such a curious thing, and there's so much speculation about this album because it never came out. And it's crazy to think about a band paying for, and it's the management that handles all this, but, paying for the studio time to record an entire album, which is costly, and then never putting it out. So there's no tour for it. There's no support for it. There's no making your money back because you're going to have to make it up on other projects. So it's a very strange situation. And I understand the pressure of having to, okay, we're going to have to scrap this and do something else. There can be reasons for that, but it just kind of to have it even happen up to now that nothing's been released. Of course, that deals with whoever owns the rights to the recordings, who has the recordings, if the masters even still exist. Probably recorded on 2-inch tape and multi-track, and who knows where that stuff is. So it may not be possible, other than the quality of what I've got here, to ever hear these songs, which is a shame. But let's just get into who is on this album. So the lineup at this time was on vocals, John Lawton; on guitar, Mick Box, of course; on bass, Trevor; on drums, Lee Kerslake; and on keyboards and organ and piano, Ken Hensley. So we are returning back to this era, a very special era for Uriah Heep. I love John Lawton as a vocalist. I think he was fantastic. Sadly, we lost him last year, but he was amazing. And I first heard him with the Roger Glover project, The Butterfly Ball and the Grasshopper's Feast, and actually had known that album very well, but didn't know that song because that was not on my version. It wasn't until the deluxe CD came out with all the bonus tracks that I actually got to hear him sing on a song called Little Chalk Blue. And he had such a fantastic voice, and Roger recommended him to audition for Uriah Heep. And, it worked out for a few albums and this mystery album. So let's return to this era of the band. Let's hear what it sounded like. And maybe it will bring back some good memories and warm your heart. Here is I Won't Change. It's a really nice, gentle opening. It has a real country feel to the guitars. Sure, there's a steel guitar in there, but just really nice and gentle feeling. You can hear a couple of layers of guitars, gentle vocal. I'm not a big fan of the la-las, except in certain spots where they kind of make sense. But just to open a song with that, that's not something that's ever going to make me happy. But I like the feel of it. It's definitely different for Uriah Heep. I'm trying to remember exactly what this era was like, because I've covered so many songs now, and it's been a while since I've touched on those. But this song on its own has a real good feel to it. Just different, definitely different for Heep.
Don't keep me running around. I'm trying to keep my feet on the ground. Stop filling my heart with empty dreams. 'Cause deep down I'm a regular guy. I laugh a lot, but I know how to cry. I don't want to be anyone else but me.
It reminds me of a couple of Crosby, Stills, and Nash songs that I've heard. I can't think of the title, but that's what I associate this kind of music with. Maybe a little bit more country for what they would have done. But just that sort of strumming and just little inflections of notes here and there just reminds me of that for some reason. But it's a nice song. It's got a good feel to it.
I won't change, I'll just try to stay the same. And if you feel a difference, it's in what you choose to see. Some of those changes were a little too hard for me, so I pray my love will see me through.
That's the kind of playing that really makes me want to learn how to play an acoustic guitar. I won't, but that's what makes me want to do it.
Step isn't easy to find, 'cause with all this love on my mind, all that I can think about is you. If all you're asking is a little more time, if all you need is to make up your mind, I can only remind you that I love you. stay the same. If you feel a difference, it's in what you choose to see.
The mix itself is not too bad. It's hard to say because the version of it that I found, might have been recorded into mono and put back in stereo or whatever. So I don't know what the exact panning should have been or how it was intended, which is sad because again, it's something that we're missing out on, I feel like. But the mix is not bad. The overall production, and this could just be because it's a copy of whatever was initially released or bootlegged, I should say, just is lacking in the overall sound. Like it's mixed, but it's not really fully produced. Like it hasn't been mastered yet. And I think the volumes are kind of low anyway. But the mix itself, the balance of sounds is actually pretty good.
Some of those changes were a little too hard for me, so I pray my love will see me through. La 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 la.
Yeah, and that's just what you get when you don't have official releases. This, hearing it like this with that tape wrapping sound in there just makes me want to find Time of Revelation that much more and hopefully have a better, at least a better produced version of this. This kind of stuff, it's because it's so loud, especially in volume versus the song, it very distracting, makes it very difficult to hear and enjoy the song for what the song is. What's interesting is it sounds like this came from an LP, right? We hear that record sound to it, the little clicks and pops there from the needle, but I don't know that it was ever pressed onto anything. So who knows? That could have all been added after the fact for effect, to make it sound like they got it from a vinyl. I don't know. It's a shame though, because I think it's a lovely song. I don't really find a chorus in it though. I just find a couple of parts that were repeated. But Lady in Black doesn't really have a chorus, unless you just count the ah-ha-has, there's really no chorus to the song. It's just a bunch of verses that are strung together with a little instrumental break. Very simple. I don't have an official listing on who wrote this. I'm going to guess it was probably Ken Hensley, but it's a nice little song. I wish I had a clean version to enjoy it. I'll just say that, because with that tape sound in there, I probably won't listen to this maybe once or twice again, just because that's so unfortunately annoying. But what can you do? Sometimes you just have to take what you can get and say, well, if this is the only way I can hear it, then this is the only way I can hear it and enjoy what we have. So that's today's show, guys. We'll be back on Thursday with another show from this album, 10 Miles, from the 5 Mile Session. Why any of these names were named that thing, I have no idea. But we'll see you to review the next song on the list. Take care, guys. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, The Magicians Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!